Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Courtney and this is Short Time True Crime. Thank you so much to my new and returning viewers for clicking on this video and spending some time with me today. Now, I'm like 3 days late on this? Guys, listen. Oh, okay. I can't wear makeup or do anything for like the next, at least another week, because like I mentioned in my community tab, I have a double eye infection. I don't know what the heck happened. My eyes are itching like crazy and like I'm trying so hard to heal from it, but I can't stop itching them and like they're driving me nuts. But I am super late on this video, but I still wanted to give you a video this week because I've even been getting messages like, hey, like, where's this week's true crime case? I'm like, we missed the case on Tuesday. Where is it? So like, I'm so sorry. I don't want to fail you guys. That is the last thing I want to do. And also, like, thank you for looking forward to the stories that I tell, the cases that I discuss. Makes me feel really good that you guys are as interested as I am in this stuff. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a super late case. But we're here, so let's go. This case, I do want to give a little bit of a trigger warning. It was a little bit triggering for myself as well. It's just a very toxic relationship, a very young love toxic relationship. So if something like that is going to be a little triggering for you, I completely understand, and I will see you next week. This is the case of Emma Walker. Emma was born March 20th in 2000 in Knoxville, Tennessee. Her parents are Mark and Jill Walker, and she also has a brother named Evan. Emma at the time was a 14-year-old freshman at Central High School in Knoxville. And she was also a new face on the cheerleading squad. Emma was said to have a super bubbly personality and a very bright smile, so it made her a perfect fit for the cheer squad. And she was also said to take cheerleading very seriously. She just loved it so much. And I can relate to that because I was also a cheerleader in high school, and I loved it as well. So this case kind of just like hits home a little bit. It's very disturbing and tragic. So her bubbly personality and that bright smile and how beautiful she was, this also caught the eye of an older student. He was a wide receiver on the football team, and his name is Riley Gall. Riley was a junior when he met Emma, and the classic cheerleader and football player relationship began. Now, Riley Gall was a top student at Central High School, and he was very talented on the football field as well. His friends described him as more of a jokester and kind of on the nerdy side, not like your typical jock stereotype that comes with being a football player. Riley loved to play video games, and he kind of kept to himself as well. So when Emma introduced Riley to her parents, Mark and Jill thought Riley was a super respectful and likable guy, and he left a really good first impression. So it didn't take long for Emma's social media to become filled with pictures of her and Riley. They would go paddleboarding, they would take silly selfies, and in one post Emma even wrote, quote, "Look how lucky I am," with several pictures of her and Riley together. One of Emma's best friends said at first the relationship seemed completely normal. Riley didn't really talk to Emma's friends a whole lot at first, you know, but her friends thought, well, you know, he's just shy. We're all kind of new people to him, so he'll come around. But it didn't take long for her friends to realize that something was off. Riley didn't want Emma to hang out with anybody but him. Emma's friends also said that Riley became super possessive and clingy towards her, and he even went as far as not allowing Emma to do certain things. Riley even tried to control what Emma wore. Now, again, like I said earlier, this really hits home to me because I've been in a relationship where my significant other was very controlling like this. You know, he tried to control what I wore, my makeup, who I hung out with. So just this entire case makes my stomach churn. Over the next 2 years, Riley and Emma became that typical high school couple that was always breaking up and getting back together. And Emma's friends also said that her and Riley would have super dramatic arguments over text and Snapchat. At one point, Riley was even waiting outside of the grocery store that Emma worked at, and he would just stand outside for hours monitoring Emma's every move. And Emma's friends tried telling her that they didn't like the way that Riley was treating her, and one friend said, quote, she brushed it off and did her own thing. However, Riley became more and more aggressive. Messages Riley would send to Emma included things like, quote, I hate everything about you. You're the biggest B I've ever come in contact with. And, quote, I'll see your name in the obituary. Now this one, Emma's parents questioned Riley about this one, and his response was, quote, I was just angry. Like, okay, but to say something to that extreme just because you're mad is a huge red flag. Emma's parents had enough, and they decided to ban Riley from their home and take away Emma's cell phone. They were just trying to put some distance between the two. So this, unfortunately, did not really work because Riley gave Emma an iPod Touch, and she was able to text him through Wi-Fi on that instead of using her cell phone that her parents took away. And just like a narcissist, every time Riley would send a nasty text message to Emma, he would come back with an apology. So some examples were, quote, I'm sorry for however I act, and I love you more than words can describe. Emma's parents tried to get her to break up with Riley several times, but Emma's mom said, quote, as you do with a teenager, the more you butt heads, the more she is going to think he is in the right, because he had a way of isolating her and making her think that he was the only one. He, of course, referring to Riley. So Riley, unfortunately, really had Emma wrapped around his finger, making her think that he was the only one for her, and she was just falling for his narcissistic behavior. And I hate that because, like I said, it's just, this hits so close to home for me, and I can't stand to see somebody else go through it, and to read this case is just absolutely heartbreaking. Now, by the fall of 2016, Riley was an 18-year-old freshman at a local college, and Emma was in her junior year of high school, and the toxic relationship was still going on. So Emma's parents decided to take it a step further. They grounded her, and around Halloween of that year, Emma was only allowed to leave the house to go to school and to cheerleading. And Emma's parents also monitored her phone as well. So after a while, this really seemed to work. Emma's father said that she was starting to come back around to her old self, and she would come out of her room to socialize and eat dinner with the family. And finally, Emma broke up with Riley for good. Emma even texted one of her best friends to let her know that her and Riley were done for good. Emma's friends and family had so much relief, and they were just really happy for Emma because they knew that she deserved so much better than this. But Riley did not take the breakup very well. Inside of his college dorm room, he swallowed a bunch of pills and washed it down with alcohol in an attempt to take his own life. His friends said they also witnessed a lot of mood swings. On November 18th, 2016, Emma was at a gathering with her friends when suddenly around 11:30 p.m., she was receiving these really weird text messages from a number that she did not recognize. The text messages read that whoever this was texting her had somebody that she loved and cared about, and if she did not comply, they were going to hurt them. The text further read that she needed to come outside alone with her keys. So after going outside, she could see Riley lying face down in a ditch. Whenever she got up to him, he was holding his head and acting all confused, saying that somebody knocked him out and kidnapped him, threw him in a van, and then tossed him out in this ditch, which just so odd that the ditch they threw him out at was the ditch in front of the house that Emma was hanging out at. So Emma didn't believe Riley and told him, to just leave her alone. So Riley also reported this alleged kidnapping to his friends, but his friends also did not believe a word he was saying. Now, the next morning on November 19th, 2016, Emma was home alone when she saw somebody dressed in all black ringing her doorbell. So she was really scared, and she was texting her friends about what was going on, and she also texted Riley. She texted, quote, I hate you, but I need you right now. And Riley replied, quote, I'm coming, I'm speeding, just give me a minute. Now, that morning, Emma had plans to meet up with her mother. I'm not sure exactly what they were meeting up for, maybe just like a little lunch date or something. But Emma failed to meet up with her mother. So her mother comes home, and when she gets home, she finds Emma and Riley sitting outside. Now, of course, her mother, Jill, she's very furious. She knows that Riley knows that he's not allowed to be there. So she asks him to leave and lets him know, like, you know you're not supposed to be here. I need you to leave my property. And Riley says, no, I'm here to protect Emma. But Jill insists that he leaves, and finally he does. After Riley left, Emma's mom asked if Emma thought it was weird that both of these instances that happened back to back involved Riley. She said, you know, don't you think it's a little weird? Do you think he was setting these things up? And Emma denied it. She said that, of course, no, Riley doesn't have anything to do with this. He was here to protect me, which is what Riley wanted Emma to believe. Now, the following day, Emma's parents followed her to and from work just to make sure that she was safe. They wanted to keep an eye on her because they were just good, loving, worried parents. Now, that evening, everything seemed to be fine. Everything was normal in the household, and the family was really happy. However, things were about to change in the Walker household forever. On Monday morning, November 21st, 2016, Jill Walker, Emma's mother, she entered Emma's bedroom to wake her up for school, but she could not get a response out of Emma. Jill Walker recalls saying Emma's name, no response, bumping her leg, no response. She then looked at Emma's face and she knew something was wrong. She checked for a pulse and she couldn't find one. Jill says in an interview that she knows that she called 911, but the whole thing was just a blur. Police were sent to the home, and Knox County Sheriff's Deputy Nikki Blues, who was the lead forensic technician on this case, said the call originally came in as a possible taking of life. I have to be really, really careful with these words on here. He said when he first got there, he started taking photographs of the outside of the home. He walked in, he photographed the inside of the home, he went to Emma's bedroom, he photographed around the bedroom, and that's when he noticed there was a hole in the wall, and it appeared to be a bullet hole. He said at that point he knew that this was not a case of someone taking their own life. Now, when Knox County Sheriff's Lieutenant Alan Merritt arrived on the scene, he said he was looking around the outside of the house, and he noticed a bullet hole in the wall that was about shoulder high from where he was standing. Then as he walked and looked around some more outside of the home, he found a couple of shell casings, so he knew that 2 shots had been fired. Walking around even more, he found a second bullet hole in the home that was also about shoulder high. So he knows that from experience, seeing these 2 bullet holes that were both shoulder high, the same person fired both shots. Unfortunately, Emma Walker had suffered a fatal gunshot wound to the back of her head. The first shot entered the back, like right behind her ear, and the second shot was lodged in her pillow. Emma's mother, Jill, recalled that once the detective got there, they were asked to leave the home. There was crime scene tape coming up everywhere, so they knew that obviously this has turned into a crime scene, and they still had no idea what happened to their daughter. Later that day, police started interviewing Emma Walker's friends and family, and the same name kept coming up, Riley Gall. Riley's name kept coming up, of course, because of their relationship and how toxic it was, and how he treated her and the things he said to her, so he was obviously the #1 suspect. However, Riley gets on all of his social medias and starts mourning the loss of Emma. He is saying things like, quote, "Rest easy now, sweetheart. I love you forever and always." And he was just acting very, very devastated. Now, of course, the entire community was devastated. And the night after this happened to Emma, they held a candlelight vigil at Central High School, and her fellow cheerleaders released balloons in her memory that week at their local Friday night football game. Now, Riley's friends were becoming a little suspicious of the way Riley was acting. So they get in touch with detectives and they let them know that, hey, we have some information that might be helpful. Now, remember the story that Riley gave his friends that he was allegedly kidnapped. So one of Riley's friends says that Riley was fearful for his life, so he stole a gun from his grandfather. Riley said something about people were out to get him and they were out to get Emma, so he needed the gun for protection. Now, another friend of Riley's said to detectives that Riley asked him how to get fingerprints off of a gun. Riley quickly let his friend know that, hey, this is for my roommate. I know it's a super weird question, but like, do you happen to know how to get fingerprints off of a gun? And of course, Riley's friend is like, no, I have no idea how to do that. Why are you asking me? So detectives bring in Riley for questioning, and they ask him about his whereabouts for the previous 72 hours. Now, he said he spent Friday night with his friends, And during the entire interrogation, which lasted about 2 hours, Riley never referred to Emma as his girlfriend or the love of his life or even just Emma. He kept calling her that girl. And when the detectives would ask, "What girl are you talking about?" Riley said, "That one that passed away." So he's like disassociating himself from the situation. He's not showing any emotion. It's just really, really weird. The detective said that during the investigation, Riley was completely emotionless. Detectives said that Riley's interview was one of the most disconnected and emotionless interrogations that they have ever went through. They said it almost seemed like Riley's behavior and the answers to questions and everything was rehearsed. Now, after Riley was released after the interrogation, Riley gets a hold of his friends and says, don't talk to the police anymore. And his friends said that he was super, super on edge. Riley's friends pretty much know that he's lying to police. So they get in touch with police and they say that they are very, very adamant about wanting to help. They think Riley had something to do with this. And they agree to do a sting operation. Detectives wired up Riley's friends with microphones, a transmitter, and a video camera hidden in a key fob. Now, Riley's friends texted Riley and said, "Hey, come over and play video games with us." So when Riley gets to their house to play video games, I don't know if they actually tried to go through with it and play video games or whatever, but Riley wanted to get rid of this gun. So Riley and his friends get in the car and they're driving, and of course Riley doesn't know that police are following them, but Riley is trying to get rid of this gun in a lake. Thankfully, police are right behind them and they swarm in and arrest Riley. Along with the gun, police also find this all black clothing, which is probably the one that Emma saw where the guy was dressed in all black. It was Riley. Riley's trial started in May of 2018, and Riley's defense attorney argued in court that Riley never actually meant to hurt Emma, that he was just trying to scare her to get her attention. Riley's defense attorney also said that he was just attempting to get Emma to ask Riley for help again so they could come in contact again and he could be like this hero and win her back. Now, at this point, Riley is 19 years old, and after 5 hours of deliberation, the jury found Riley guilty of first-degree murder, as well as stalking, theft, reckless endangerment, and being in possession of a firearm during a dangerous felony. And in the state of Tennessee, a first-degree murder conviction carries out an automatic life sentence. Now, Riley addressed the court and apologized, if that's what you want to call it, to the court and to Emma's family, and he did read this really nice sounding apology, but his voice was so incredibly, like the detective said in his interview that I discussed earlier, it sounded very rehearsed, very like he was just like forced to say it, like he didn't really mean it, he was emotionless. It made me want to just ooh. Since Emma Walker's death, her family has really tried to keep her legacy alive. Now, Emma wanted to be a NICU nurse and she loved animals, so the family has gotten a dog park and a NICU patient room at the East Tennessee Children's Hospital named after her. And that is the tragic case of Emma Walker, an absolutely beautiful soul that was taken so unnecessarily way too soon. This whole case makes me angry, it makes me sad, it just all of these emotions. And I also wanted to end this on a quote from Emma Walker's mother, Jill Walker. She says, quote, "If your boyfriend or girlfriend is telling you that you can't go there or what to wear or who to hang out with, who to talk to, it's not okay. I think when they become quiet and withdrawn, it's a big sign too. It's not just bruises, it's emotional and controlling." That is all I have for you guys today. I'm so sorry that I was late on this, but I mean, I'm here. I showed up. I'm so sorry. So please let me know what you think down in the comments. I love to see y'all's discussions. Stay safe, and I will see you next week. Bye.